Have you ever felt a quiet distance growing between you and your spouse? Like you're living side by side but not truly together? It's not that love has disappeared, but over the years emotional needs shift, appreciation fades, and routine takes over. Many women find themselves pulling away, not because they want to, but because they feel unseen, unheard, and unfulfilled. If this resonates with you, you're not alone. In this video, we'll explore why emotional detachment happens in long-term marriages and, more importantly, how to rebuild the deep connection you once had. Stay with me. Your marriage is worth it. What's one small act of kindness that can bring you closer today? Let's talk in the comments. And if you find this content helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on relationships and personal growth after 60. The evolution of love, navigating the changes in long-term relationships. Love is often romanticized as an unchanging, steadfast force, but the reality is that relationships evolve over time. Long-term marriages, in particular, experience a gradual shift that can lead to emotional distance and fading affection. This change isn't usually the result of a single catastrophic event, but rather a series of small, overlooked moments and unmet emotional needs. The good news? It's never too late to bring back connection, warmth, and joy. Stick around to find out how. And if you find this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more insights on love, life, and relationships. The silent drift. When love feels like it's fading. I remember watching my parents in their later years, their marriage spanning over 4 decades. In the early years, they were inseparable, filled with laughter and deep conversations late into the night. But as time passed, their interactions became more about logistics. What was for dinner, who was picking up groceries, and whether the bills had been paid. The affectionate touches, the curious questions, and the spontaneous moments of joy slowly faded into routine. My mother, once vibrant and full of energy, seemed weighed down by responsibilities. My father, a man of few words, often retreated into his own world. It wasn't that they had fallen out of love. Rather, they had stopped nurturing the emotional connection that once brought them so much joy. It was a slow drift, barely noticeable until the distance felt too vast to bridge. The invisible weight. Emotional labor in marriage. Women often take on the role of emotional caretakers in relationships, and this unrecognized burden can become overwhelming over time. I saw it in my mother, how she remembered every birthday, handled every family issue, and ensured that the household ran smoothly. My father loved her deeply, but he never fully realized how much she carried on her shoulders. For years, she suppressed her exhaustion, believing it was simply her role as a wife and mother. But as she entered her 60s, something shifted. She no longer wanted to be the silent pillar of strength. She wanted to be seen, heard, and appreciated. When that recognition didn't come, resentment quietly took root. The loss of deep conversations. When my parents first met, they could talk for hours about anything and everything. My mother often reminisced about those early years when my father would ask about her dreams and opinions. But somewhere along the way, those deep conversations faded. They still spoke, but it was surface level. Updates about the kids, reminders about doctor's appointments, and casual small talk. She craved more, but my father didn't understand. He had grown comfortable in the silence, assuming that their bond didn't require words. But without meaningful communication, my mother felt unseen. And feeling unseen over time turned into feeling unloved. The unequal divide, a lifetime of household responsibilities. Despite societal changes, women still bear the brunt of household chores, even in retirement. I watched my mother continue cooking, cleaning, and managing everything while my father relaxed. It wasn't malicious. He simply followed the patterns they had established over the years. But for my mother, it felt suffocating. After decades of caring for everyone else, she wanted space to care for herself, but breaking that cycle was difficult, and each unwashed dish and unacknowledged effort chipped away at her patience and affection. When personal growth creates distance. In her 60s, my mother discovered new passions. She started reading more, joining community groups, and even traveling with friends. She was evolving, embracing new experiences and finding herself again. My father, however, remained the same. He had no interest in learning new things or venturing beyond his comfort zone. The more she grew, the more restricted she felt in her marriage. The partnership that once felt like home now felt like a cage, and she longed for a deeper connection, a companion who could grow alongside her. No. 7. The struggles of retirement. Retirement brought an unexpected shift in their dynamic. My father, once occupied with work, suddenly had endless free time. He leaned on my mother for companionship, relying on her to fill his days with meaning. But she had spent decades tending to others. She wanted to rediscover herself. Instead of enjoying their golden years together, they found themselves at odds. One seeking independence, the other craving closeness. The tension was palpable, and my mother began to wonder if this was all there was left. No. 8. The unheard wife, feeling invisible in a marriage. Perhaps the most heartbreaking realization for my mother was the sense of invisibility. After years of emotional labor, unacknowledged sacrifices, and fading affection, she felt like she no longer mattered in the way she once did. She had become a fixture in my father's life rather than an active participant in their love story. She wasn't alone in this feeling. Many women in long-term marriages experience this quiet withdrawal, a gradual shutting down to protect themselves from further disappointment. The love hadn't disappeared, but the connection had weakened, leaving both partners feeling unfulfilled. No. 9. The wake-up call, realizing life is too short. Aging has a way of shifting perspectives. In her later years, my mother began asking herself, "Is this the life I want?" She had spent so much time prioritizing others that she had neglected her own happiness. She knew she couldn't change the past, but she also knew she didn't want to spend the rest of her years feeling unfulfilled. For the first time in a long time, she put herself first. She started speaking up, setting boundaries, and seeking joy outside of her marriage. It was a risk, but it was necessary. No. 10. Rekindling love, the power of small efforts. The beautiful thing about love is that, even when it fades, it can be revived. My mother's decision to prioritize herself became a wake-up call for my father. He saw the woman he had married strong, passionate, and full of life, and for the first time in years he realized he had taken her for granted. He made an effort, not through grand gestures, but in small ways. He started asking about her day, joining her in new experiences, and most importantly, listening. Slowly, the distance between them shrank. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Marriage isn't just about staying together for the sake of it. It's about making a conscious choice every single day to nurture the love you share. Long-term love isn't effortless. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to grow together rather than apart. Over time, relationships evolve. And while passion may ebb and flow, the foundation of true connection is built on the small, consistent acts of care that reinforce trust, respect, and emotional closeness. One of the greatest lessons my mother taught me is that love isn't measured by grand declarations or flawless harmony. It's in the way you listen when your partner has had a rough day, the way you offer a reassuring touch, or the way you choose kindness even in moments of frustration. These seemingly small gestures are what keep the flame alive. Love, at its core, is an ongoing choice, a daily act of devotion, and a commitment to growing together rather than settling into complacency. So, if there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this. It's never too late to rekindle connection, to have deeper conversations, and to rediscover each other in new ways. No matter how many years have passed, love can always be renewed with intention and effort. In the next video, we'll explore practical ways couples can reconnect, reignite intimacy, and strengthen their emotional bond at any stage of life. If you've ever wondered how to bring back the spark or deepen your connection, you won't want to miss it.